Hello and welcome to the B-Roll Film Club, your movie review podcast without the pretentious critics. We are your hosts, Scott, Emma and Jessica, and in this episode we are discussing Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. We hope you've watched both films and that you are ready to dive into our review.
Before we get started, I'd just like to remind you that we announce our chosen films in advance on Twitter, where you can follow us at the B-Roll Film Club, and you can use our email, theBrollFilmClub@gmail.com, to send your own thoughts and reviews which we may discuss in our episodes. Lastly, before we get started, please be warned that we will be discussing the plots of these films in full, so spoiler alert. If you haven't seen these films already, pause the podcast and come back to us when you have.
Okay, first up we've got Jurassic Park by Steven Spielberg, and obviously based on the books by Michael Crichton, and then screenplay writer David Cope, I'm going to say, but I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce that surname. Koepp, who knows? I wish we could like afford the rights to the theme tune music to just let it play. But I mean,
Yeah.
we need to. Everyone should have that song in their head.
I think everybody does have that song in their head.
Yeah. If you don't know that song, where have you been all your life?
What are you doing?
We'll just jump in with first impressions. Of course, this film was released the year we were all born, so first impressions are going to be a long time
Yeah.
back. But if you could try your first impressions, we'll start with you, Scott, seeing as you seem to be the least dinosaur fanatic out of the three of us.
Yes, I will admit, it's not always my favourite genre, but it's obviously a classic. I absolutely love this film. So it just brings back my childhood and all the great memories of it and be like, oh my god, this looks so cool. And like, I remember seeing all the dinosaurs, even though you look at it now and you're like, that's bad CGI. But you're like, when you're young, it just brings back nostalgia. And I love that about this film. And I think it was so progressive for its time at least.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And it opened such a huge opportunity for cinema after that. And
Yeah,
I just really like this film.
Okay, Emma, do you want to jump in with your first impressions?
Okay, I was terrified the first time watching this. I think the first time I watched it, I was far too young. And I didn't make it past the opening scene with the raptors. I was like, nope. And I just burst into tears. But no, it was good. Once I got past that bit, I was a wee bit older. And then I think the moment where they first see the dinosaur, like, on the island, it was just like, I love this film so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was terrified of it the first time I saw it. But then
Really?
when I was a bit older, I got a bit more, I don't know, able to handle it. Like the scarier scenes and stuff. It's amazing. It's my favourite film of all time.
Yeah, like for me, like this is the thing. Like I was gonna say, but now you've proved it that you were scared, because I remember like I can't remember why it came up, like something about being scary, like when you're little, and I was like, I was never scared of Jurassic Park. Like I was just like in awe of the dinosaurs. Like I just. Yeah. I mean, is it in the second film? There's definitely one of the trailers. There's like a line where it's like, do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur? And as soon as it said that line, I felt so emotional. I was like, yeah, dude, it was Jurassic Park, and it changed my bloody life. I was like, it was just one of those epic things ever. But like, I was never scared of Jurassic Park. Like I said, like this was released the year we were born, so none of us saw it in the cinema.
No.
Yeah.
Well, me and you did, Emma.
We did, yeah. That was like...
not this year. It was last year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, last year.
Because of COVID and there's no new films. They were playing at the cinema, so we went to see it. It was released 2 days after my birthday, so it was 11th of June, 1993. That was originally released. In some countries, it might have been.
It was like,
but the actual American, like proper big release date was 11th of June.
It was shown in Uptown Theatre on the 9th of June.
Yeah,
that's really like the proper preview thing they used to do.
Yeah. But the proper big thing was the 11th. So like I never saw it in cinema, but like I can't really remember my first time viewing it. Well, I do remember seeing the dinosaur, but I don't remember how old I was or whatever. But like I grew up with this film. Like I watched this film over and over again. And when they like announced that they were redoing it, as much as I was like, oh no, they're gonna ruin it, I was just like, yes, like we need dinosaurs. Like
we do.
There's been no decent dinosaur films since Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So excited about that. And Yeah, like the film just blew me away. Like when I was little, I thought it was so amazing. Obviously, I thought
Mhm.
the dinosaurs were real when I was little,
Yeah.
which they clearly aren't. But it just this is the film. I said it last week. This is the film that made me like fall in love with movies. Like
Mhm.
I was always watching movies from this point onwards, and I always liked more adult films. Not adult. I shouldn't say that, because I
No,
know
no, no.
different
I know what
connotations.
you mean. Know what you
But
mean.
you know what I mean? Like I wasn't
Yeah.
really that into cartoons. Like some of them, yeah, but like I was more into like more grown up films because of Jurassic Park, I would say, because I was more into the real thing than animated.
Mhm.
But yeah, this made me fall in love with film. And I'm not even that big of a Steven Spielberg fan, like maybe apart from Schindler's List, like I don't really
Mhm.
like I'm not a massive Spielberg fan, but this film, like, I think it's well, I probably shouldn't say that when he has got Schindler's List on his resume, but I think it's his best film. Like this film,
Yeah, and I
it's
know what you
just
mean.
amazing.
Mhm.
And the dinosaurs, yeah, they don't look proper, like how they should or anything.
Mhm.
But like to everyone, because of this film, that's what a dinosaur looks like, and it's because it's
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg. So
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty awesome thing to have to your name.
Yep.
Do you want to then jump in on favorite scene?
Oh,
I'll go
see,
first then.
Yeah.
Or is Emma
I
going
just
first?
But like,
confused. No, you go
Emma, go
first. 'Cause
first.
I need to think.
Okay.
Quick one.
Mine's is obviously when they first see the dinosaurs, because it's just like that jaw drop moment.
So are you talking about? I'm guessing you're talking about the Brachiosaur, yeah?
Yeah.
When they first see that, yeah.
Because even like out of all the dinosaurs, that's probably my favorite because it's what is it, a omnivore?
Herbivore.
Herbivore,
Omnivores eat
that's it.
both. Yeah,
And
yeah.
herbivore, and they're meant to be quite passive, and I thought it was so elegant and so majestic, and how big it was.
Mhm.
And I was just
Majestic,
like,
exactly the right
It's-
word.
yeah.
Yeah.
and I was just like, that's my favorite scene, and that's what I always remember when
Mhm.
anybody talks about it. I always think of that kind of scene first in my head.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite scene, at least.
Yeah.
Emma?
Yeah, that is a very good one. I think though, as much as it used to scare me as a kid, I think it's when they see the T-Rex and it just comes out the paddock and then it just does that roar. I
Yes.
was like, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
But that used to terrify me because I remember sitting in my auntie's car once and it was raining. Obviously it wasn't like tropical rain like they get in Jurassic Park, but it was raining
Heavy.
quite hard, and I had a bottle of water in the back of me, and I was just waiting for like the impact tremor from like the T-Rex coming to get me. But it stuck with me. It was impactful. That's what it was.
Yeah, I would have to say that's my favorite scene as well when you see the T-Rex, because they build up so much suspense to it. I love how you don't really see any of the carnivores like in full until that scene.
Yeah.
They just build up so well, and like you said, the impact tremor with the water. Like you could literally show someone that 1 second clip of that water with the impact tremor,
and they would know.
And everyone knows what's happening. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's iconic. So yeah, I love that. The first time you see the T-Rex, and obviously the T-Rex looks a lot better than the Brachiosaur because it's not CGI, it's animatronics.
Animatronics,
animatronics.
Yeah, we call it, yeah. Obviously, like compared to like today's level of
CGI
visual effects that you can get, like it's obviously not totally realistic. But I think for the time that it was, they did really well. Especially with the T-Rex. I feel like the raptors look a little bit more fake. But the T-Rex looks amazing, and that scene, I mean, when we went to see that in the cinema, like I was absolutely buzzing like a little 5-year-old. I was like, I just want to hear that T-Rex roar and surround sound in the cinema on the big screen. Like that's all I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favourite scene too. Anyone want to jump in then with pros and cons? I think we should start with cons. Does anyone have any cons?
I don't know. I don't think I do, to be honest.
The only con would be
really think of any.
Obviously the CGI. It's not.
It's 90s CGI.
Yeah, you're not going to get like compared to against like today's kind of like what you were saying before. You're going to find it hard to be like.
Yeah, but it is almost 30 years old.
Exactly. So for being 30 years old, nearly.
Thanks for making me feel old, Emma.
We're all the same.
We're all in the same boat here.
I'm not. Oh no, I'm not old. The Scottish. You old man.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for telling everyone.
I had two cons.
Go for it.
One of which is the several incorrect facts about dinosaurs. Now I can understand the look of them not being real because they spliced it with other genes to make them. So that's understandable. I think. But like the facts about how fast the T-Rex can run and all this nonsense, like there's a lot of incorrect stuff. And I feel like at the time, like science would have known better. I feel like they just ran away with it. And they knew fine well, like a velociraptor was nowhere near that size. It was more like the size of like a turkey or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that's
It's a bit
You know what
out
I mean?
there,
It's
a
just
bit Hollywood.
yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, like, would it have been the same film if they'd done it all correct? Probably not. And then another thing I've got is just the script lacks some details. So once the T-Rex comes out of the cage and that, and then Dr.
Mhm.
Grant and Lexi fall down the wall, there's suddenly
Yeah.
this massive drop,
Mhm.
even though you don't, like, when you look at the goat, you see the goat right on the
Yeah.
ground at the cage. So apparently I've
bothered
looked this all up online a million times throughout my life because it makes no sense. So apparently in the book, I've never read the book because I already watched the film and I can't read books when I've watched films. So I've never read the book, but apparently, like, it explains that there's moats, like there's a moat drop off between the fence and the enclosure, just so that the dinosaurs can't get out. But then the T-Rex just steps over or whatever.
Right.
Then there's other bits that I've seen that says at the side of the paddock there's a moat. So whether it's in front or at the side, it doesn't matter what it says in the book because it doesn't say anything about it in the film, and that's just like a massive, because it just throw you off. You're like, wait a minute, how are
Aye.
we suddenly at this massive drop off?
Yeah.
So those were the only cons that I could pick out really from the film,
Mhm.
because it's just like, why didn't you literally have a 10-second scene explaining that when they were talking about like safety or whatever of the park? Just be like,
Yeah,
oh, we
that's
have
true.
moats in front. You know what I mean? Like, just
Yeah.
maybe it was in there and they cut out by accident, like it was an editing thing. I don't know, but there should have been some explanation, because and it's not just me that gets hung up on that. Like, I've heard lots of people like talk about it, so
Mhm.
I think that's the one thing
Yeah.
for me that was a bit.
I'd agree with that.
Any other points?
No, I don't think so. I think for its time, it was quite well. It was brought up with Jurassic World with some of the criticism of like how accurate it was. But I think for its time with the science, I think Jurassic Park was kind of hailed for its accuracy, for scientific accuracy from what they knew. I don't know how correct that is. That's just what I've seen online, but just pretty good actually that they included that. They didn't go too crazy with it, because they could have. They could have went crazy with it, with all the science and stuff, and just not made it realistic. But I like that they did.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we run through some of my points on my little famous whiteboard now
Go for it.
Go
that
for
I
it.
have. Do you know what? One thing I do want to say is, when I was writing this, I wrote down a tone of inherent danger, right, which I thought was quite good for me.
Mhm.
And then, like 15 minutes later in the film, Jeff Goldblum says something like, talks about something about the inherent danger. I was like, oh my god, the term inherent danger was in my head because I've watched this film so many times. Like,
Yeah.
just putting it on is obviously put that in my head without me, like, subconsciously I've been thinking about it, and I was like, oh damn it, like, I thought I'd done that myself. But the film does set up this theme of inherent danger very well. Like
Mhm.
you said, Emma, with that first scene where they're getting the velociraptors into their new paddock.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just said paddock, really weird. It's like a very intense scene, and
Mhm.
obviously that guy gets like eaten right away.
Yeah.
And you've got, I can never remember his name. It's not Mr. Arnold. What's the other guy? What's the
Muldoon.
like goes clever girl Muldoon when
Robert
he's
Muldoon.
saying shoot her,
Yeah.
shoot her, yeah,
Yuka!
yeah, not weird. Like right from the start, you're like, oh, this is dangerous.
Yeah.
And then it keeps, like, it just builds up throughout, which I really like. You know something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It just makes you like on the edge of your seat throughout it, because you're like, oh, how's this going to go bad? Like, you just know someone else is going to get
Mhm.
eaten.
Yeah.
So I like that about it.
Mhm.
I already said about like the building of suspense. So obviously you don't see the carnivores right until, like, you see little clips, like bits of them, but you don't
Yeah.
actually see them in full until the T-Rex steps out.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, definitely. But also, like, how eerily quiet the tour is. It builds up to the suspense. Like, you're
Mhm.
like, oh no, like, what's going to happen? Because it's like when nothing's happening, you're just expecting something bad to happen. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it just,
Mhm.
it's got this weird sort of eerily quiet on our tour. So I really like that. Just want to shout out again to that Jurassic Park theme. Like I said, like, that's so memorable
yeah.
for everyone. But I love how, like, so when they're first flying into the island, you sort of get like a snippet of it.
Mhm.
It starts to play and it sets it up. And then obviously when they see the Brachiosaur, then it starts playing again. And obviously the theme tune's called Welcome to Jurassic Park. But then you've
Yeah.
got John Hammond, like, once they see the dinosaur, like, saying, like, Welcome to Jurassic
Mhm.
Park. And it's just, oh, that moment, like, it's
Yeah,
just, oh,
it's-
it's just my childhood.
It
I just
is.
love it.
Yeah.
Every time
Pretty
he
much.
says it, I have like the cheesiest grin on my face, because I'm
Mhm.
just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the news, by the way, the other week, that someone that works for Elon Musk was like, oh yeah, we have the technology now to do this, and I'm
Yeah.
like, do it then. And everyone's
Yeah.
like, have
Do
you
ya?
not seen the films? Like, don't do it. And I'm like, no, do it.
No, don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't-
but don't have them in cages, because this is the problem.
But there's
I'll
nowhere.
get on-
There's
I'll get
nowhere
onto
in
this
Earth.
with. No, I'll get onto this when we talk about Jurassic World, right? But don't have them in cages. Just let them roam free on an island, but build cages for humans to walk through and see them. and I'm all for it. Or even a helicopter tour.
Mhm.
I'm all good. You know what I mean? I'm easy.
There's no free land on Earth that they can put them.
Elon Musk could buy Africa if he wanted to.
Do you really think they would allow him
Not
to
saying
buy
that
it?
a white man should buy Africa.
That's how it
Oh,
sounds.
why did I say that?
That's how it sounds. Well done, Jessica. You said it wrong.
You could buy Alaska.
You
That's
could buy
true.
Alaska.
Don't put dinosaurs in Alaska, actually.
They would freeze.
He could make an island. He could build an island.
Probably
No,
could.
it would cost
Man,
too
you
much to
Screw
build.
screw colonizing Mars with people. Put dinosaurs up there and have
Yeah.
a dinosaur world, and we can go visit a dinosaur
By the
world.
way.
Trademarking that, Elon Musk. Come get off me. $1 billion idea there.
Because it's like, what's it? We can do genetic manipulations on babies. So you can, it's called designer babies in a sense, in which you can genetically modify the genes of a baby to make sure that they have certain traits, like blue eyes or blonde hair or
Oh.
whatever else. It's like how remember Dolly the sheep?
Accessorize
Just be
your-
like,
your
I want my baby to look like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
Make
so
that happen.
you
In fact, no, that would not be any fun.
it doesn't matter. You remember how they cloned the sheep?
Mhm.
Dolly.
Dolly the sheep. So that's how they would do it. They'd cloned her from her DNA.
Apparently, they know how to do it now, though. So I don't know. I don't know if they're just lying, if they're just up and
Yeah, because we've got
because
we've got things like artificial wombs.
it's just all very
That's-
freaky to me. We're getting
it
into
is very
sci-fi here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like,
You do get into like the deep science of it, but we could do it. It's too expensive.
yeah. Go find out in the next few years if Elon Musk opens
I
his
know,
park. One thing I wanted us all to talk about is what do we think of John Hammond as the antagonist? Because I just did
Mhm.
some research and I'm going to put the link in the details of this episode for the website that I was on because it was talking about John Hammond in the book.
Mhm.
And John Hammond in the book is a lot more, like, he's a lot more sadistic than he is in the film. So in the film, like, he just comes across to me as someone who, like Jeff Goldblum says, like, they didn't really stop to think, like, should we do this? They ran with it, like, oh yeah, we
Yeah.
can do this, let's do it. And he's just very excited about the idea of dinosaurs himself, and he's too stubborn to realize that
Mhm.
it's not going to work, that he's put all his money into this thing that's not, it's just not
Yeah.
going to happen. It's not safe. And he just keeps arguing, even to the point, like, when people have already died
Mhm.
and they're in the control room just before, I think it's just before Ellie goes to switch the power back on or something. Like, he's saying something like, next time. And it's like, no next time,
Yeah,
John.
yeah,
Like, the dream is over. And it's not till the very
Yes.
end where he's like, oh no, like, I'm going to decide not to do this.
Uh-huh.
But, like, he's a lot less harmless. He's just stubborn in his idea, and he's just
Mhm.
so wrapped up in his excitement about it that he
Yeah.
can't pull away from it. Whereas in the book, he's an absolute idiot who doesn't care about anything. He's cut lots of costs, and that's
Mhm.
why, like, it all starts to fall apart. Like, he doesn't pay Dennis very well. Like, it's sort of briefly mentioned in the film of not Dennis getting money, but it sounds like it's Dennis's own fault. Like, it's his financial
Yes.
situation that's making it look like he's not getting paid enough, but he actually is getting paid enough.
Yeah.
Whereas in the book, he pays him hardly anything, and that's why he has this motivation to ruin it all. So what do
Right,
you
okay.
think of John Hammond as an antagonist? Like, do you think he's not evil enough in the film, or do you like how he's written in the film?
I quite like it. I think as well with like the addition of Lex and Tim, it's that he's just like a granddad, and he's just like wanting to like show his kids all these dinosaurs, like I made them for you, kind of thing. But yeah, like you said, he's just too stubborn to give it up and just be like, no, I've failed here. But then I like that he did in the end. He kind of accepted. He was like, no, I messed up. Like this is not going as planned, and
Yeah,
we
for
can't continue with it. So I quite like that about it. It would have been interesting to see more of a book Hammond, though. Like now that you've brought it up, and I think about it, I was like, that's quite an interesting take to go with, and it would have been cool to see that. But I think, yeah, just with his grandkids being there, it kind of all fits in well with his role in the film.
Yeah, I like it
just to
better
be
how
that
it is
wee
in the film.
granddad.
What about you, Scott?
Well, I had a wee look, and it says like one of the quotes from the book. It said, "That's a terrible idea. A very poor use of new technology. Helping mankind is a very risky business. Personally, I would never help mankind." So that kind of, the book kind of shows like his more, I don't want to help people, I don't really like people kind of side of him. Where I think in the films they kind of showed his more affectionate side in a sense.
Yeah, like he literally says in the film, like when the lawyer's saying about charging thousands of pounds a day, so he's like,
Yeah.
I don't just want this to be for the super rich, like I want everyone to be able to
Yes,
yeah.
experience it. So I like him better in the book because although he's still an idiot in it, and like he's so stubborn that he can't see what he's doing, like what's wrong with his park, he's still like you can understand why he's bad, but at the same time you know that he's doing it for the right reasons. You just can't really see what's wrong with his park
I know what you mean, yeah.
and his beliefs.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they couldn't have made Richard Attenborough bad, could they? Like he
No,
Santa Claus.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Near the end of the novel, it reveals that he has no love towards his grandchildren, even though he maintains saying, "Oh, it's okay. The children are in no real danger."
Yeah, whereas he's a much more loving grandfather in the
Yeah.
film, and in the book he dies, gets killed by
Yeah.
dinosaurs. He's like, he's still not like he still thinks his park's going to work and all this nonsense, and then goes off and dies. But like I said, I will link this page that tells you basically everything about John Hammond's character in the book, because it's a more of an interesting character. But I feel like I like the one we got in the film. I don't think I would have wanted a really evil character.
I know. Yeah, I think that would have taken away a wee bit from the dinosaur part.
Yeah,
I think, and like the amazement of it, of what's happened.
I would have given that kind of like super villain kind of persona in a sense.
Yeah,
If you know
like,
what I
look
mean,
at my
like
dinosaur army.
like yeah,
in
kind
this
of like
park.
like James Bond
Yeah.
kind of like villain. Like I've
So many
created
dinosaur
these, go and
armies,
kill
Jurassic
that
World.
person.
I would take a dinosaur army too, to be honest. That'd be pretty good.
Emma, don't be like the idiot in Jurassic
I
World.
would. Oh, I know that is true.
Yeah.
Just wants to keep it in a wee back garden. Just a wee pet. That'd be nice.
It's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Make it work. Let's get a dodo or something.
Does anyone else have any little bits they want to talk about?
Don't think so. I think it's kind of covered everything.
The music? Are we not going to talk about the music?
Well, we kind of have a
No,
little
we
bit, but
could, yeah.
John
But no,
Williams,
it's
of
fine.
course.
That soundtrack though is just
Yeah,
I could
it's
put it on and listen to it for hours. And do.
He's like the Hans Zimmer to
Mm-hmm.
the Christopher. You know what I mean? He's the Hans. What am I trying to say? How do you phrase this? So like Christopher Nolan always goes to Hans Zimmer, and Steven
Yes.
Spielberg used to at least always go to John Williams
Mhm.
for his themes. So he's done a lot of big movie scores, and it is brilliant for
Mhm.
this film. It really is. I kind of wish he had done the other ones.
I
Is he
know.
dead though? Actually, is John Williams dead?
Give me a second and I'll tell
These
you.
films are quite old, so I
I
feel like
dunno.
he might be dead. Maybe
No,
not.
he is 89.
Michael Crichton's dead. He's 89. Oh well. Well, he could have done that. What's he doing? Retired. Get his life.
He's
Get back to work.
89.
I don't give a
Just play
He's-
some tunes on a piano.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to set up a piano for God's
I
sake.
believe he is retired.
Well, he has no right to be retired.
Not when he produces that good music.
Yeah. To be fair though, I feel like nothing's ever really been as good as Jurassic Park that he's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wait, did he do Schindler's List? Schindler's List is a really good soundtrack as well, actually.
I don't actually know.
I see his name all the time in films, like
Oh, aye,
older
yeah.
films, like your 90s.
Yeah, he done
80s
Schindler's
films.
List. He done
Yeah,
Raiders of
there
the
you go,
Lost
that's one
Ark,
of the most-
A New Hope, Harry Potter, Jaws, E.T., Jurassic Park, Close Encounters, Indiana Jones,
To be fair, a 2-year-old could have done done the job.
I know, eh?
It's not that hard. Also a
Iconic,
classic
though.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does iconic. He does do iconic music. Like, people
Yeah.
know it as soon as they hear that. He's very good at that. And like I said, the way it's done with the films, obviously because they write to the that's how it's done. Like they watch the film and then write music to it. So
Mhm.
that scene when you hear the music and you see the Brachiosaur for the first time, it's just
Oh, yeah.
it's emotional.
It
is.
is.
It's amazing. But
I was
it
watching
puts
it
like
the
a
other
lump in my
night.
throat. It really does. Like I'm
Uh-huh.
not a sado. I don't cry very often at films. Not that you're a sado of you. You should be in touch with your feelings and cry at films. I'm not. I have a black
I do.
heart.
I do.
I'm dead inside. But this one that does make put a lump in my throat.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because it's like my entire childhood
Yeah.
or what, but it really does.
It does for me too.
No, he's still making music.
What is he?
Yeah, the last
But then what? See, so why couldn't him and Spielberg have just
the last
done the
one he
new
done
Jurassic?
was Rise of Skywalker.
Star Wars.
Yeah, so
Oh, he done the Star Wars theme, didn't he?
yes, he's
John Williams.
he's done all
The
all the
originals
Star
anyway, yeah.
Wars.
Yeah. Well, apart from those films, he's done really good films. I'm just piss off a whole fan base of people.
Well done, Jessica.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, he's also done War of the Worlds, the 2005 one.
Oh, with Tom Cruise, I
Yep.
hated that film.
He also done
I just hate Tom Cruise.
Indiana Jones. He's done all the Indiana Jones.
I'm just here to tell the world who I hate.
That's okay. How about we move on to the next film?
Yeah. Oh, Indiana Jones. Yeah, of course he did all them.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to the next film. No, because we've not done scores. So I just want you to shout out your score. Not shout it out randomly. I'm going to ask you. So I would give this film a 4.5 overall. And the only reason it's not 5 is because what I mentioned before about the whole moat thing and that, I'm like, it literally would have taken you 10 seconds to just put that in there and not have that mess with my head all the time. Because the first time I watched this, Google might have existed, but I certainly didn't have it. So it just threw me off and I couldn't do anything about that. I didn't have Google to ask. So that's dropping points off the script for me.
Okay.
And also, well, is there anything else I would... Well, the raptors don't look all that great in some scenes. And I feel like maybe they could have looked better because they did have CGI at the time. So I don't know, like, use your animatronics and put CGI over it.
Well, actually, the raptors was it the velociraptors? Yeah. They were in the kitchen scene. They were actually guys dressed up.
Oh, I changed my
They were
mind.
the
That might
best.
actually be my favourite scene.
I was thinking that for my
That even
favourite scene,
scared me when I was watching it in the cinema. Like, I was always scared of that scene when I was little. I wasn't scared of dinosaurs, but that scene, like, it not scared me, but you know what I mean? Like, I got
gave you a
really,
jump.
like, yeah, it was, like, intense.
Yeah.
And in the cinema, like, I went back to, like, my, like, little childhood state, and I was, like, really scared, and I was like, oh my god. It's a really intense scene. It's well done.
Yeah.
It is very well done.
So it's probably a toss-up between that and the T-Rex scene, like, one of my favourite, because I feel like everyone knows that scene as well.
The kitchen scene was played by men in suits.
Oh, well, there we go, yeah. So there it wasn't animatronics, but it was like a costume sort of thing.
So they've like got
So I feel like they
costumes
could have put CGI over that or something to make it look a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, they probably have. Because obviously you're not going to have like... I'm pretty sure there is like behind the scenes stuff of the guys running around in the kitchen. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere.
I want to see that.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Because they wouldn't be able to get an animatronic to jump up on the top of the bunkers.
Yeah, and
like they did.
It'd be too much CGI to try and do that.
That's good though. So good.
Chef's kiss. Scene. Chef's kiss.
That's how I rate that scene.
Why not? Do you want to give an overall score next, Emma?
I had 5s all round.
5s all round. Oh, you get 5s all round. See, I was like, I need to be more... Like, it killed me. It killed me taking points off of it. And do you know what? If Scott had let me do my rating basis, or let me do 4.9s, then it would have been a 4.9. But because he said I wasn't allowed to do that awesome thing, I had to do 4.5. 0.5s, no 0.9s or anything. So it's all Scott's fault. I would have been a 4.9.
Oh yeah, just blame me for it all. Just blame me for it all.
Yeah, of course. That's what you're here for. So that's why I gave it a 4.5. So, Scott, that leaves you.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5 as well. Overall,
4.5 as well.
It's just a classic. It's just a classic film in which you can enjoy no matter how old it is.
Yeah, so that gives it a 4.6 overall.
Yeah.
Ooh, very good.
Which isn't bad, especially for the time.
Yeah,
that was
especially for how old it is. It's pretty good.
And it's probably everyone, unless you're really old, but it's probably like everyone's like childhood film, like what they grew up on, unless their parents didn't let them watch it. I don't know. Maybe they were still watching cartoon films until they were about 10. I don't know. But for me, that was we had it on VHS.
Yeah.
And you just watched it all the time, and it was on TV all the time. Still is.
It was.
ITV2.
Yeah,
If anyone wants to watch a Jurassic
I was
Park
just gonna
film
say
at
that.
the weekend, just go to ITV2 because they're always, if you're in UK, they're always playing one of those Jurassic Park or Jurassic World or whatever films. Like, they play it all the time because it's a classic and it's not going anywhere soon.
Yes. Agreed.
So, moving on, we've got Jurassic World, directed by Colin Trevorrow. I think that's how you say it. It's kind of smell like tomorrow, so that's how I'm pronouncing it.
I think that's it, yeah.
And then we've got writers Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, and Derek Connolly. And then the composer for this one is Michael Giacchino, maybe? Who knows? Which is weird, by the way, because after I was watching Jurassic World, and when it came to like the end credits, and I was like, I need to write down the composer. Like, I was looking for the movie channels, and then a film came on. It's like composer came up with Michael Giacchino again, and then I was watching Jojo Rabbit, and he did that score as well, and I was like, my God,
Oh, right, okay.
this guy's done everything.
Yeah.
So I liked it sorry, we were talking about him now, so I'm just going to say it. I really liked his take on the classic theme, like that sort of
yeah.
creepy piano version of it.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool.
That was very cool. And see, hearing that in the trailer, when you saw for the Jurassic World trailer, I was like, oh my God. I was like, it's happening. But yeah, it was really good. It was really well done and really well tied in.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, so this film, first impressions, I'm just going to jump off because I just want to say, like, I feel like this film, like, the other film did the same thing. It started with quite a thrilling scene and sort of set the tone. But this film more so, like, with that creepy heartbeat thing that it does.
Yeah.
And you've got, like, the music. Is that not when the music's playing? Like, the creepy sort of version of the Jurassic Park theme. And you've got the heartbeat and see the egg cracking, but you see, like, the little claws. And it's, I'll use the term again, it's that tone of inherent danger right there at the start again. You're like, oh, shit about to go down.
Yeah.
Because we know by now that dinosaurs eat people. They should have learned this by now.
They should have.
Elon Musk make that park.
God.
But when I first saw this film, and it was with you, Emma, weren't it? Because we're Team Jurassic Park for life.
Yeah.
And we all know how buzzing I was to go see this film. Like, it had its flaws. It wasn't as good as Jurassic Park. It never would have been. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like films, it's hard to beat an original just because everyone holds it so dearly in their hearts. But there's numerous reasons why this one is not as good, and I'll get into that when we talk about cons. But overall, I really liked it. And the one thing that I liked about this film that Jurassic Park didn't have was the park actually being opening and functioning.
Yes.
And I thought that was really cool because it just puts a whole different like weight to the fact that like when dinosaurs get out, like it's a lot scarier because you've not just got like a few people visiting the park to test it out. You've literally got a park full of people, and it just makes it a little bit more intense. So I really like that. But overall, I like the film. It's not as good as Jurassic Park. I don't think it ever would have been. The CGI is obviously a lot better. Did they fix any of the things that we now know about dinosaurs? Nope. They were just like, nope, we're just going with the original stuff, which I can kind of understand. But I feel like they maybe could have made it a bit better, like more realistic, more based in science than fiction. But
yeah, I know what you mean with that.
Yeah. But overall, I liked it. I feel like it got slated more than it should have got slated.
I think so too. I think it was well done. And going into it, I was so excited, like, because I'd been waiting for ages for this film to come out because it was announced. I can't remember when it was like announced, or there was like talk or rumors of there being a new one, and I was so excited for years, and it finally did. And I just thought it was really good, especially seeing the park open. That's what I really liked about it and how it was different from Jurassic Park. I agree, though. I don't think it would ever have been as good as Jurassic Park, but it's still up there in one of my favorite films. I just think it's really good.
Yeah, Scott.
I wasn't
like Sai. That's not good stuff.
I wasn't a big fan of this film.
Says it all.
I'm sorry, but like I'm not trying to put like my
No,
judgment
you
of
liked
it.
it.
Like being like, oh, I don't like dinosaurs films. But I'm like, for this one, I didn't feel the same as what I did for like Jurassic Park. It's like
fair.
I see where you're coming from with like this one being open. It did give a totally different feeling to it. It wasn't just based around this small group of characters. You had like the public in a sense in the film created like a secondary factor, which kind of affected the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what you're saying, I think it was kind of like hyped up to be quite good, but it also got quite a bit of backlash from it as well. So I think it was like a double-edged sword on this one.
Yeah.
It had its good parts, but it also had its drawbacks on it, in which it never kind of really took it further than what it could have with like the first film. It kind of just took bits and pieces that it wanted and was like, okay, that's fine. That'll do.
Sorry, I've just thought, just when you were seeing Emma, like you had heard about it and then you were just like waiting for it to come out. I just realised like this film was pushed back. Remember this got pushed back? So I remember hearing about it too and then getting so excited and it just took forever to come out.
Yeah.
But it was because they then realised, oh, we're actually going to do it in 3D or something like that, I think. If my memory serves me right, that's what the issue was. They decided they were going to go for 3D and ended up having to reshoot lots of things. But I don't know if that's true or not. But then the newest one has been pushed back because of COVID. And I'm like, every time a bloody Jurassic World film's going to come out, it gets pushed back and does my head in.
Okay, it was announced in 2001.
Yeah, it's really old.
Progress on the films.
Wait, what? Didn't Jurassic Park 3 come out in 2001 or 2003?
Progress stalled on the film during 2005 as Marshall and Spielberg were busy with other film projects. In 2006,
Oh, so they were originally going to do it.
Spielberg and Johnston would direct the film, but during that time it was the fourth Indiana Jones film.
I think they always intended to do it. It was just slow.
Yeah.
It was 2008. It was meant to be expected to release, but it was delayed to 2009. By 2010, Johnson had involved the project again, planned to be the film for the Jurassic Park trilogy, for a new Jurassic Park trilogy. And then Johnson hoped to further develop the project with Spielberg after they finished other projects, including Johnson's film of Captain America: The First Avengers.
What a film! Actually, no, I don't like that film. I like Winter Soldier.
I remember being in high school though, I think it was second year, so that would have been 2006, 2007, and hearing about it, and I was like, I want this film now. It's like, I don't care about Indiana Jones or whatever, I want Jurassic Park.
2006 would be about right when Spielberg said he would direct the film.
What site's that off of, sorry, Scott?
That was on Wikipedia.
Shout out to Wikipedia.
It has got sources on it.
Correct, because it's Wikipedia. Oh, it's got sources. Yes. So check out Wikipedia page for.
Yeah, you can have
check out all the sources for that. Yeah.
I do remember googling it in second year and being like, "Is Jurassic Park 4 coming out?" And they're like, "Oh, there's talks of it," and being like, "Oh, so excited."
So it took a whole 15 years nearly for it to go from development into production, because there were so
and that was
many...
like a decade I was awaiting.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to move on to what I want to focus on is some callbacks to the original JP.
Yeah.
Don't know if you've noticed any, but
I did.
The ones that I noticed that I wrote down because I kept forgetting to write stuff on my whiteboard. But the ones that I wrote down were, of course, there's the Welcome to Jurassic Park theme playing as they're on the monorail going through the gates, which was a great callback because obviously you get that as they're going through the big gates.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park. Also, when the mum says, I remember if something chases you, run. But it's it calls back to when Ellie shouts run to Dr. Grant when the raptors were chasing her. And then also I had about the T-Rex when she goes to you've got the goat when they first see the T-Rex, it's getting fed a goat when they watch it eating it, and that blood splats out the screen. So that's a call back to the first one when you see the goat, but also when she goes to release the T-Rex, you've then got her running with a flare, which was very. Oh, by the way, I really love the cinematography in that. That looks amazing when she's running with that flare.
Yeah,
and
that was
kind
of
slow mo and the sound in the shot and everything. That's great.
Yeah.
But just for the flare, it's a call back to the first one, which I really loved. And I'm sure there's a million other bits that I was like, oh, that's such and such a film. That's so. Any other ones? I'm trying to think. Oh, the fact that they say the Indominus Rex, say that it's hunting for sport, which this is one of the cons that I'll bring up later. I really hate, but in the second Jurassic Park film, I want to say is Lost World. That is it Vince Vaughn or someone else? They mentioned something about dinosaurs don't hunt for sport, only humans do.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a callback to the Lost World. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't watch that film as much. I really don't like The Lost World. But yeah, those are ones I can think of off the top of my head. Do you guys have any just off the top of your head?
There was the Jeep that they fixed up. It was the same ones. And I forget the character's name, but Jake Johnson wearing the t-shirt, a Jurassic Park t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. I'm wearing that t-shirt right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the skeleton in the banner from the end of Jurassic Park it's in the building that they walk into because he picks up the banner.
Yeah, he uses a torch.
Aye, and he has it. And I was like, oh, that's from the first film. I was like, oh, it's
and you
so
see
good.
the yellow jackets hanging actually when they're fixing up the Jeep through the door where you see throughout from the room where the Jeeps are. You can see the yellow rain jackets that Dennis wears. Yeah. And then also he picks up the night vision goggles that are in the Jeep. I forgot about that. There's a lot of stuff in that scene when they go back to the original building. I mean, there's one thing though. Why would that building be that overgrown in 20 years? I don't think.
No, that is true.
Because that's 22 years, 2015, 1993, 22 years since the.
Yeah, it depends though.
There was never that many trees around it. It was quite a clear space. So I'd understand it'd be overgrown, but the trees wouldn't be that thick because the trunks because they don't. Well, I don't think they do. So that bit I was just what? Why is it that hidden? But I understand why they did it for the feel of the film. But I really did call back and them touching the paintings on the wall, the paintings you see on the wall and that bit in the first one. So that was a cool callback.
All the little nods to Jurassic Park were really well done.
Yeah. Any more, Emma?
Can't think of any more though.
You got any off the top of your head, Scott? Or do you want to move on?
Nothing I can think of.
Well, we go over cons. So cons, anyone?
I think the scientific accuracy based on new discoveries. That was one thing. Like, they didn't follow it. They didn't follow like current science. However, I did look this up, and Colin Trevorrow was like, "It's a film. It's not a documentary." And I was like, "You know what? That's fair."
Yeah,
I was like, that's totally fair.
Yeah, I get that. Although Doctor Wu does say in it, like, they do have a bit in the film where Doctor Wu says, like, none of these dinosaurs, like, do you think Blue would
Yes.
look the way she did if she was, like, a
Yeah.
natural, like, the proper copy of a velociraptor and all this stuff. So they do kind of touch on it, but I get what you mean. Like, and same with me, like, I thought maybe they would make the dinosaurs look a bit more like what they actually look like. Well, what we think they actually look like.
Even in real life,
Even our
when we
best
look at
guess
dinosaurs and we design them or draw them or make them on what their skeleton was or whatever else was, it's only an approximation. It's not an exact.
Yeah,
so like
exactly,
the films have kind of taken a creative liberty and being I'll stretch the truth, but it's still part of the truth.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't really like. Sorry, I'm just going back to that one. I wouldn't really put it as like a massive con.
No,
but it's something that people have brought up. However, you could also argue like this is the Jurassic Park universe. So if you were to put and change it completely, somebody might be like, "Well, what's that? Like that's not what they had before." So I can understand why keeping everything the same.
Yeah.
Plus, it's the same T-Rex. So how are they going to change the T-Rex if there's any science changes? It just suddenly looks completely different. I don't know if there is for the T-Rex, but like that kind of thing. It makes them identifiable, keeping them the same.
Yeah, definitely. Any more cons?
Not really, no. Not for me, at least.
There is one scene that annoys me, and I don't know why. It's just the most bizarre thing ever. I'm trying to think when exactly it is. But basically, I think it's when they're escaping, when the Indominus Rex is up at the Jeep and there's Claire and Owen and they're escaping from it, and she runs out past them and he just like has his arm out and he just stares at the camera, and it's the most bizarre scene I've ever seen in my life. Like, it has no point to being there. It just annoys me.
It's because he like goes to help her and she's like running past him. Like, I don't need your help, bro. I'm out
and that's fine, but she
like,
just
don't need to tell me to run.
He just stares at the camera for like a good few seconds. I'm like, why is that there? Like, you could have cut that down a wee bit.
Unpopular opinion, but Chris Pratt annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, I've tried to like him over the years.
Yeah.
But like, there's sometimes like I've seen him in some interviews where I'm like, oh, he's quite funny, but most of the time he annoys me, and I feel like he just plays the same character over and over again.
Like smug face.
Yeah, like you just want to hit.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like it would have been a better film if, because like Dr. Grant was a cool lead.
Yeah.
Sam Neill, my man.
Yep.
Love Sam Neill. Whereas, like, I just feel like if they'd got someone a bit cooler and edgier than bloody Chris Pratt, then go for one of our Chris's. There's so many better Chris's. Could have got Hemsworth. Could have got Evans.
Can you imagine Chris Hemsworth in that role? That would be so funny. That'd be so good. He'd be great.
Never does. I feel like Chris Hemsworth would have done a better job. Like,
yeah, I think so too. I think he would have done a better job.
Yeah, and then if you want someone to do like really good speeches in it about how wrong, because like Chris Pratt does, his character Owen does talk about how wrong it is about the way they're raising the animals and everything. Then Chris Evans would have been good at that, because that guy sounds like,
oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? He sounds like he should be playing like the president in a film or something. He's just got that voice, don't you think?
Just straight up president.
Yeah, he should. America. Get that sorted. Chris Evans for president. He's just got that voice though, you know what I mean? Like when he talks, you listen.
He's got that presence.
Yeah. Like when Paul Rudd says in Endgame something about his speech, he's like, oh wow, that's amazing. Anyway, we're going off on a tangent. But yeah, like I think one of the few I've got a few here, a lot more than I did for Jurassic Park. One of them is Dr. Wu as a villain. Like, I really don't like that, because he wasn't a villain in the first one. He was just like Hammond, he was overwhelmed by the science and the fact that they could do it, that he was just running for it. But he was never a bad character in Jurassic Park, so I don't know why they decided to make him into an absolute, like, and it's the same with the next one, Fallen Kingdom. Like, they make him even worse. And I'm just like, don't do that. Like, I liked Dr. Wu, just leave him alone. Don't make him to be hated. So I feel like that was a weird choice, but I also like the fact that he was a callback to the original film. I also think the Indominus Rex was too human in nature. So like I already said about the hunting for sport, but then like the marking up the cage to catch them and all this nonsense, like I just feel like they just made it unrealistic. Like, it wasn't just like, because like the other ones, the raptors are hunting them. In fact, in all other 3 previous films, it's always the raptors that are kind of the bad things, aren't they, that are hunting them?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I get that. They're just hunting them because, well, in Jurassic Park 3, they've got their eggs. In Jurassic Park 2, there's no reason, is there? Lost World. It's kind of the T-Rexes in that because they've got the T-Rex baby, but also they have that big scene with the raptors when they're in that building and they're running away from them. Can't remember the motivation behind that. Yeah, they're just trying to kill them.
Yeah.
And then in the first one, obviously, they're just trying to kill them. But, like, they're just trying to kill them because they're dinosaur and they're humans. That's what they're going to do.
Aye. They're just free and they're hunting.
Whereas in this one, it's like the Indominus Rex has just got a problem.
Yeah, pretty much.
I hate you.
The
Watch
best way to do
watch me just chase you for the entire film. So I felt that was a bit weird. Like it wasn't a dinosaur anymore. They were trying to make it this really creepy thing, and it was like, I don't know. It's like they were trying to make it Alien from Alien versus not very Alien versus Predator, just the Alien films. But I don't know. I didn't like that. And I've also got like the action just becomes ridiculous, like the shooting the Indominus Rex, like when they go on like their little raptor squad hunt, and then they start like shooting and trying to blow up the Indominus. I'm just like, is this a war film? Like, is this what we're going to like?
I know.
It's a bloody dinosaur film. I want to see dinosaur versus dinosaur and people getting eaten by dinosaurs.
Yes.
I don't want to see people shooting guns. Like, I'm not for that.
Yeah.
And then the other one I just wrote down is the fact that Claire outruns a T-Rex that couldn't catch a Jeep, by the way, going 40 miles an hour in the first one. It's the same T-Rex. Couldn't catch her running in heels. I know, like, the T-Rex has aged a bit, but I'm like, what the hell? Also, funny story. I remember we were discussing, like, I was talking about Jurassic World naturally at work, but I feel like 50 Shades of Grey must have been, like, the first one or something came out at the same time, and other people were discussing that. So we're, like, discussing two films at the same time, like, in a group, and then someone said something about, like, oh, she keeps her high heels on the entire time. It's a bit unrealistic. And I thought they were talking about 50 Shades of Grey, and I was like, the whole time, really? Like, well, there's a lot of just complete unity in that. And then I was like questioning it, and they're like, yeah, like, did you not pay attention? I was like, I've not seen it. And they're like, you've just been talking about it for like the last 15 minutes. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And they're like, Jurassic World. I was like, oh, I thought you were talking about 50 Shades of Grey. I was like, I didn't even notice that. But the second time I watched the film, I was like, yeah, she is running around in mud and everything in high heels the entire time, which is so unrealistic. But the fact that the T-Rex can't catch her, I'm just like, what? Like, you had it not able to catch. Sorry, you had it almost catching a Jeep going 40 miles an hour. Like, it was right at them, but you can't catch Claire in heels. So that was a bit.
Which was funny weird. Because the exact thought I had when I watched this on Sunday was when she was running, and I was like, clock the T-Rex 35 miles an hour, did you? can't even catch up to her.
Yeah, she's not even going 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So maybe the T-Rex have been sleeping, you know, a bit groggy, just out of a nap. You never know.
Just needed a stretch. Yeah. It was stretching his legs.
So, one of the pros, I'm going to because this is something I really loved about the film, and I'm going to get all preachy here, so be ready, but I really like the fact that they really focus, well, I say really focus, but it's kind of like very well done. It's like sort of an undertone, but they do talk about several times or reference it, like the treatment of animals in captivity. So the fact that Owen talks about the fact that the Indominus Rex is raised in isolation and doesn't have like any relationship with anything, and how that's not good for like its psychosis sort of thing. I'm like, well done, because that's true. I mean, animals shouldn't be kept in isolation or in cages. But then you've also got the Mesosaur in the water. That's basically doing performances like a killer whale at SeaWorld. So it's like a little comic. And then you've got like the animals in the petting zoo, and they're like riding the baby Triceratops and stuff like that. And you can see like how unhappy the dinosaurs are and everything. And it's like, well done. Like, let's show off the fact that this is not good for animals and they shouldn't be treated like this.
Yeah. Well, they took inspiration from Blackfish for it.
Oh, really?
For the film and the Indominus. Yeah.
Well, this is what it made me think of. Because I loved Blackfish. Blackfish? I have not been to, and I loved animals, but I always felt kind of depressed seeing animals in zoos. But I really like to see them because I am like a massive animal lover. But after I watched Blackfish, I was like, that's it. I am never giving my money to another zoo or aquarium or anything again. And I never have. And I've spoken out against anyone that has went to it. I've said, it's not great for animals to be in those conditions. Like, I understand wildlife reserves in places like in Africa, they have like some rhinos fenced off and everything so that they can't get poached on, but they've got masses of land before they hit a fence. That's fine. I'm good for that. But don't tell me it's to like conserve the species when you're charging like $30 a ticket and letting children scream in their face and tap on glass and nonsense like that. It's like, that annoys me. So I like how this film touched on it in a really good way. I didn't know it actually was inspiration from Blackfish. So that's good because does show, like, because killer whales, there's no incident where a killer whale in the wild has killed a person, but it's happened so many times in captivity, and it's this thing, like, with the Indominus Rex, what's it called? Indominus Rex. There we go. I lost it for a second there. Yeah. I'd said it so many times, and then I was like, I can't remember what it's called. But being raised in isolation and having, like, just nothing, like, it's just trapped in this cage, so...
Yeah.
The fact that they make it an absolute psycho, it is good. I feel like it's got too many human traits, though, and how... the fact that it remembers where its implant is and claws it out, I'm just like, no, don't be silly.
Yeah.
But I really like that. I think that's really cool that they touch on that.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that, yeah.
Anyone else got any pros that they would want to chuck out?
Like I said before, it had the nice nods to Jurassic Park, and the score was very good. I really enjoyed the music in it, and the little addition of the Jurassic Park theme. One detail I did like was, I liked that the raptors turned on the humans after it like met up with the Indominus, because like they're wild animals, like they're dinosaurs. You can't expect them just to follow anything. Like if they're gonna, it's like that survival of the fittest thing. They're gonna go with whoever's they're most likely to survive with.
Yeah.
And if that gets taken over, then they're going to switch because they're wild animals.
But they do switch back. I like how, like, when Owen takes the camera off of Blue's head, like, Blue's like, appreciate that, bro. Now I'm going to save you.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a real bro. I'll leave you alone for that.
Yeah, but I do like that as well. I like the fact that the raptors turn on them and then they're like, oh, it's part raptor.
Yeah.
One thing I really do love is the fact that they do the same thing with Indominus Rex. So, like, you don't actually see it for ages until it, like, tries to eat Owen and that when they're in the cage. But the guy says it's white, which is not. It's like a very light grey. Mm-hmm. But, like, I wasn't scared of the Indominus Rex. Well, you'd hope not. I was, 22 when I saw it? when I saw it. But I know what you mean. But when he said, like, frighten the kids, or frighten the adults, I was like, no. But I remember I told you, I showed it to my little brother when he was 18 months old, because I'm such a great rodent and he did, like, turn away from it and, like, grab onto me. He was scared. But he got used to it by the end of the film. Like, he wasn't scared of it by the end of the film. But when he first saw it, he was really scared of it. And I was like, oh, maybe this thing is really scary. It's quite cool looking, though, as well. I like the Indominus Rex. I really want to get the toy. You can buy a toy for, like, £17. It's really realistic. And I'm like, I'm an adult. I don't know if I can justify this, but at the same time, I want it.
I want it too.
But yeah, I do like the Indominus Rex. I think that's cool, and I like how they keep. You don't really see it in full until it properly escapes, which is cool.
Yeah, it's really good. I also liked how it was quite corporate focused, and I was like, that is very relevant to the world we're living in today. Because there was one quote where it's like, why not just let these corporations name the dinosaurs? Like from now on, like all these new dinosaurs. And you can see it as well as they're going through the park. So yeah, I quite liked how that was shown in it.
Yeah.
Like throughout the film.
Definitely, yeah. One other thing I like is the fact that it ends with the T-Rex.
Yes.
Queen T, as I like to call her.
I like that.
I like that because obviously she's the original T-Rex from the film. So I really like that ending with her, like, running up to, like, the helipad and kind of just being like, this is my part now, bitches.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that bit. And when you see Blue running away as well, like into the wild, I'm like, yes, be free, Blue.
Yeah.
So there's lots of bits of the film I like, lots of bits I don't really like. I'm trying to think of favourite scene. Do you have like a standout scene?
I think it's when she goes and releases the T-Rex. I think it's just
you keep stealing
really
my favourite scenes, Emma.
I know, sorry.
It is the best.
I just think it's shot really well, and I just and that whole scene after it where T-Rex and the Indominus is frightened. The only downside is that it's shown them running away. I'm like, I don't care what you're doing. I want to see the two dinosaurs fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was the only downside. I
don't care about you people.
But I like that whole scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that whole scene
because you had like Blue, the T-Rex, and the Mesosaur in the end. So that was really cool. I really like that. Like we already discussed about that. Like the flare, the noise, like the sound in it. Like the sound's really cool as you hear like our shoes like hitting off the like, echoey noise off the concrete sort of thing. And then just like the impact tremors from the T-Rex and everything. It's a really cool scene. So that's my favorite too. What about you, Scott? Do you have a different favorite scene?
No, it's got to be that. It's got to be like the ending scene.
Damn it, we're all the same.
Well, it just means that we
taste.
Yeah. They did really well in that scene. That was probably the best part of the film.
Everything just kind of like comes together and like clashes in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's just so good because you're just like you're on one side of them being like, yes, you did that. And you're like, no.
Yeah. When I thought the T-Rex was going to get killed by the dog, I was about to flip out. And then obviously Blue comes to the rescue, and I was like, thank God, because I swear if they had killed that I've still not watched the new Godzilla versus Kong, because I swear to God, if they kill Godzilla, I will throw the same tantrum I did in 1998 in the cinema. I remember I told you that when we went to see the new Godzilla, Emma. I
Yeah.
was like, if they do
Yeah.
it, which is why I wasn't allowed to go see Jurassic Park 3 in the cinema after my tantrum that I threw when they killed Godzilla in 1998. But yeah, I'm really glad they didn't kill the T-Rex. I have less fond feelings for Fallen Kingdom because of what they did to the Brachiosaur.
I know.
That's
what a
still
shame.
that hits me hard every
Oh,
time.
good though. It's a good scene.
But yeah, if we don't have any more pros or cons, do you want a rating?
Let's do it.
Throw out a rating. So for me, it would have to be 3.5 for the reasons that I've already given about the cons and the fact that they could have got one of the better Chris's. Because he just plays himself all the time, and I just feel like his character
He
could have been
does,
so much
yeah.
better if they were a bit more serious, a bit more like Dr. Grant. Just get
Mhm.
Sam Neill.
Yes.
Why was Sam Neill not there? Like,
I
or
know.
Chris Hemsworth.
At least he'll be in the
Chris
next one though.
Like, we just, I know, I can't wait for that.
So excited.
But yeah, it dropped points for me for several reasons. But I think like a 3.5. It's a bit higher than average, but I feel like they had, because they had all the technology with CGI and all that for the visual effects, all they needed to do was write a good story, and I feel like they kind of messed up on that. So 3.5 for me. What about you guys?
I would give it a 4 overall.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same.
I still really enjoyed it, but like you said, they could have done a wee bit more with it, I think. But I still really enjoy it.
Yeah. And you're the same, Scott, you said.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 as well. There's like parts of it in which you're like, you could have expanded on that or like grown from that, like from previous films in which you've touched on. But
Yeah. So that gives it a 3.8 overall, which I think is fair enough. It's not a terrible film. It's just, I feel like I was expecting so much more. I can't wait for the third one. I'm hoping that'll be really good with Sam Neill and Laura Dern in it, as well as Jeff Goldblum. Hopefully it'll have less Chris Pratt that way. Oh, I must stop hating on Chris Pratt. Sometimes I like him. Rarely though. So, next week is a very exciting week because it's the first time we've had a film that wasn't one of my films that I've put on the list. So next week, Emma, you'll be very happy that it'll be Knives Out.
I'm so excited.
And then we've got Bad Times at the El Royale as well. So yeah, we've basically been going off a list of films that I've been suggesting. But this is the one film that Emma really wanted in there, Knives Out, which is a brilliant film.
Yeah.
And we will be discussing that next
so
time.
good.
Before we go, just want to shout out to Kevin MacLeod for our theme tune, which is The Descent. Do we want to do any more shout outs? I don't think so. Anything else to say before we go?
Shout out to Queen T, my gal.
Shout out to Queen T, yeah. Shout out to Queen T always.
Yeah.
And forever.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
thank you. Bye.